Hello, good morning, afternoon, or nighttime whenever you're seeing this video. Before going into any details, I want to lay out a couple of things, starting with who am I? The answer is I'm a nobody. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not anybody important. My name isn't going to change anything, but the details I'll be talking about really are relevant. I'm just a guy making a video on my cell phone in my kitchen at 12:30 in the morning. That's who I am. Secondly, this video is unlisted. Only the people with the link can see the video, and I'm addressing several law channels on YouTube, so this is going to be emailed to several different people. Third, what I'm going to be talking about is the problem. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to give a couple comparisons that may seem off, but I'll bring it right back, and then I'm going to propose a solution to what is going on. So I'm just basically voicing a concern that's done through video. It's easier. All right, so first things first. What I'll be talking about are the law channels and the amendment auditors that are bringing light to a lot of the police corruption. And that is, if you put enough of a type of a video in a place, it gives off the impression the problem is actually bigger than it is. Now, don't get me wrong, this problem is huge, but it's not widespread according to the way YouTube is making it come across. So I just wanted to be clear. I do understand the difference, but what I'm addressing still is a problem. All right, so this is basically about police corruption and the system in itself and the lawyers that are posting videos about the one I'm going to bring up now. Now, I have this on my TV in the background, so I'm going to be reading it here. So if I look off the screen, that's why. All right, so first one, Hampton Law here, and it's not just this video. It's several of them that are titled this way. For example, how to stop cops from using this new trick during a traffic stop. And this was posted 2 weeks ago. I believe this is Jeff, I'm not sure. But the problem isn't that specific video. It's the how to stop cops from doing, and then you insert whatever issue is going on here. All right, so first of all, these videos are titled incorrectly, and because it's giving off the impression that you can basically tell a cop to stop doing something, and at the time it's happening, it stops. This crap of bringing it to court afterwards is another part of the problem that I want to get out of the way, because the judges and the prosecutors are also a problem here. So that's where I'll get to the solution. But first I want to address, you shouldn't be titling videos like this because it's giving off the impression that it stops the cops from doing whatever's being discussed. Nothing, let's face it, nothing stops the cops from doing it. By the time you get to court, the damage has already been done. Dealing with it after the fact is where I have a problem. And posting videos that say stop the cops from doing something is disingenuous. You guys really need to stop posting videos like that. Regardless of the way the law works, these videos are being titled as you can just use this stuff during whatever stop is happening, and then the cops will go, oh yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, we got to stop doing this. Nothing stops the cops from doing anything. So again, please stop titling these videos how to stop the cops from doing it, because nothing stops that. That brings me to the second point. All of these law channels across the board, sure, there may be different laws in different states, but the cops, all agencies across the board, all operate the exact same way. They take the laws and they reword it and do whatever the hell they want with an interpretation of it. So my point is, if the cops do that, then the law firms absolutely can do that too, especially prosecutors, which is another issue. So I want to get a couple of things clear here. Instead of actually dealing with this shit in court, why don't all of you law firms get together and actually go to the damn Supreme Court and petition the courts to remove the ability for cops to even start behaving like this? So for example, this video is covering the canine. Why don't you guys just go to the courts and tell them, stop allowing cops to even use dogs on a traffic stop to begin with? In fact, why don't you guys just argue to stop allowing cops to pull people over for like broken taillights? Just abolish all traffic stops together. There's enough cameras and drones where they can just ticket somebody. This crap of a cop pulling somebody over and then pretexting, whatever's going on, everybody knows it's a problem, and then the cops are never held accountable. And anything that is attached never has a consequence applied. Case in point, California passed a law where a cop is now required to tell you why they pulled you over. However, nothing happens to the cop if they don't. So what's to stop the cop from doing it? Absolutely nothing. Now, you'd figure that they would do it because they're supposed to. Some do, some say not. But what's going to happen if they don't? Nothing. And why I bring that up is California has a law that also states that stores are supposed to have a gender neutral section, but they're fined $10,000 a day if they don't. So the stores have a punishment, but the cops don't? This is ridiculous. Everybody knows that the cops are corrupt from top to bottom, and the system itself is a problem as well. And as Jeff being a supposed, or at least he said he was a former prosecutor, full well knows the abuse that the prosecutors use. I don't care what law firm says what. A judge needs to tell the prosecutors and cops, if you keep bringing stuff like this to court, I'm going to throw you in jail for contempt, period. Perjury is another problem that nobody's getting in trouble for in the legal end of stuff. Prosecutors need to be friggin' charged with blackmail for basically telling a client, hey, if you don't take this deal, we're going to tack on X amount of charges. Sorry to tell you that. The definition of that is blackmail. On the legal definition, that's blackmail. Blackmail deals with information. And the fact that prosecutors do this without actually being charged with blackmail is a problem. The judges need to start holding, these prosecutors and cops in contempt. And you guys need to petition the courts for this. And that brings me to, again, you guys need all these law channels across the board. If the cops are using baseline stuff across the board, then you guys need to start doing this too. And I know as a lawyer, you guys don't have amendment rights in the court. I do know that for a fact. The fact is that nobody is punishing the cops. And these lawsuits don't matter if they're not coming out of the cops' personal pay. It just, the taxpayer has, they have a coffer or a fund for this shit. You guys, if you guys really want to help people, go petition the courts to have the behavior that's allowing these cops to even operate like this removed. Simple as that. And I know the system is slow, but you guys can't tell me you can't argue these points. If a prosecutor can word manipulate things and there's cops on videos going through stuff and then just getting completely out of hand, you guys can do this to the system too. It's a question of, do you really want to? So my point is that you guys are just wanting, everybody knows that the court's a racket. Cops pulling people over, and everybody knows it. It's not a hidden secret. People can say, oh, the cops don't have a quota. They can. Doesn't matter. It's all a racket. And the lawyers that are basically telling people to deal with this in court also want a piece of the money because you're telling people to take it in court. If you guys really want to help people, either take this stuff pro bono or go to the petition to court to remove the ability for these cops to even do this shit in the first place. If a cop is on video doing something and they lie, that's perjury. That's a contempt charge, and they should be put in jail for that, regardless of who's doing what. Prosecutors that are going forward with cases that they full well know that they shouldn't be should also be put in jail. I'm sorry, they should. And on top of that, I lost my train of thought with this. But the point here is that you guys really want to help somebody? Tell the court that they need to stop allowing these charges to even be brought. Furthermore, the final point I'm going to get at is, if a cop is caught lying, they need to be decertified. Not fired. They need to be decertified so they can never become a cop ever again. This crap of them, no-knock rating or whatever else it is a problem. You guys need to petition the courts so civilians can actually get cops off their property if they're on there without a warrant. Screw this shit. If the cop wants to put the foot in the door, you'll have to excuse this. But honestly, if a cop doesn't have a warrant and they're on your property and they want to stick their foot in the door, you should lob their foot off. Just cut it off. I mean, the point here, I know that sounds crude. Obviously, don't do that. But my point is that you should be able to pick up a cop and physically remove them from the property if they're going to play the let's stand there game if they're on there without a warrant. But no, they do shit, and then they get all these people get all these charges, which is fucked up. I'm sorry, it just is. These law firm channels are not doing anything for anybody that's actually helping anybody, okay? The system is corrupt from top to bottom, and you guys need to actually attack the system from inside. Obviously, legally. I don't condone violence. But the fact of the matter is, if a cop shows up at your property and they don't want to, they don't want to leave and they don't have a warrant, shoot them. Bottom line is fucking shoot them. Because they're not going to get consequenced by this system. They're on your property. They're not a cop. If they're there without a warrant, you tell them to leave. They're now an armed thug and they're an armed felon. Period. This bullshit that the system is ignoring that because of qualified immunity, which is another problem in itself. Qualified immunity really isn't the problem with traffic stops. It's the Carroll Doctrine. But that's besides the point. The fact that cops are never having consequences applied to their actions, either by the system or by the public, and then the public gets in trouble, this shit's got to stop. You guys need to petition the courts to get this crap removed. And one final thing I'm going to go over is the Constitution is supposed to be set up so it stops the problem at the time it's happening, not deal with it afterwards. Of course, a lawyer's going to tell you guys to deal with it after. You can tell people to deal with it afterwards. That's because they want to get paid. How about taking this stuff pro bono and actually helping people? It doesn't make any sense. So, I got a little morbid there, but this is like, people are just fed up with this. What's going to happen eventually is people are just going to get so sick of this. Any cops that come to somebody's house, what's going to happen if a bunch of people just show up and surround the cops? I mean, you're going to have a firefight. You're going to have a war. But you know what? The people are in the right. And the Declaration of Independence actually literally states when the government's out of control, you need to take over the government. I'm sorry to say that. That's what it says. The Declaration of Independence is a declaration of war against the government. And the Constitution is set up so these laws need to be put in place under this condition. So if the prosecutor can argue word manipulation to keep a case in court, keep a case going that they know they shouldn't, and the judge doesn't want to hold them accountable, then the judge should be put in jail. Anybody that doesn't want to hold the people accountable for not holding the people accountable needs to be going to jail as well. And the other thing, too, is the ATF can't be making laws up. Okay, case in point, I'm going to use Congress here, for example. The ATF comes up with these stupid policies and then tries to say, oh, this is a law. Policy is not law. And one of the things I was watching on a Forbes episode is I don't watch, Fox or anything else. I actually watch Congress. I watch, there's a camera pointed in his 4-hour videos. Anyway, the point is that I watched this argument where one of the senators stood up and said, we got to fight the ATF on this. Instead of the senators telling the ATF, look, you don't make the laws, you're not allowed to be doing this. And if you arrest anybody under this, we're going to throw you in jail and expunge their record, which is the final point I got to make. That's where I lost my train of thought earlier, sorry. The final point I'm going to make on this is anybody that has been falsely charged should never have a record, period. It should only be on record is if they're convicted or they're actually guilty. This crap of a cop charging somebody and it's still going on their record so it shows up and then never being expunged when the cop lies or whatever the hell else is going on needs to be removed. Somebody should not have a record just because a cop decides to do something. So some of the things that you guys need to argue in the Supreme Court or whatever, however you're going to do it, stop allowing cops to say, I observed. A cop's word needs to be removed from the ability to just as evidence in and of itself. If the cop doesn't have video evidence of what's going on, then it shouldn't be allowed to even go to court. The judge is like, sorry, you can't take this. Secondly, cops should not be allowed to mute or deactivate their body cams, and on top of that, shit should be uploaded to the cloud. No more of this garbage of cops being able to omit shit or withhold evidence or whatever it is. Any cops caught doing that need to go to jail, and you guys need to petition this, that the cops have to have the stuff applied to them that they're doing to other people. This crap of cops stopping people and chasing people because of a broken taillight in a parking lot and causing a problem. Nobody armed should be running through a parking lot to catch somebody that took off from a traffic scene to, get the guy. It's like, what are you running for? Give the damn ticket and mail it. There's no reason for an armed cop to be chasing somebody because of what they might have done. It's utterly ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And so that's basically what I'm getting at here. Sorry I went off on a tangent on this, but you guys really need to really help people. Either take this shit pro bono or tell the judge they need to do something to the cops. So you guys need to start, legally, people need to be legally allowed to literally fight back against cops. It's just getting ridiculous, and everybody knows it. So I know violence isn't the answer, but sometimes you have to answer an answer with an answer. That's just the way it is. So anyway, I babbled enough. I got my point across. See ya.